Hello and welcome back to another video. This week I am working with Chip on trotting in my big sand ring. Now in between this video and my last video I filmed with Chip, I have lunged Chip in this big arena once and I've ridden him at the walk just to familiarize him with the ring. And for our first major milestone of this ride, this is actually the first time I've gotten directly on a Chip without doing any of the laying in the saddle or mounting block desensitization ahead of time. I did fully intend to, but when I got on the mounting block, he was standing really nicely and looked confident enough. So I figured it was time and I just YOLO'd right onto his back. And right as we got started, there was a car pulling into my driveway and I felt like I lost Chip's focus a little bit. In our prior rides, he was really comfortable standing still, but today he kind of wanted to keep moving. And I have no problem with letting a horse, especially a green horse, move around a bit to settle in. So we just walked circles at the bottom half of the ring to get started. Now, I did come to this ride with the intention of trotting, and I have a little mental checklist of things we must be able to do before we can start to trot. And for me, that's achieving some sort of relaxation, ensuring that we can turn, and ensuring that we can stop. The first priority is just relaxation. I focus on sitting quietly and being as soft as I can be. When you're sitting on a horse that doesn't feel 100% relaxed, it's very tempting to hold tighter with your reins, but that can just make your horse feel a little bit claustrophobic and then put some anxiety back into them. I'm trying to take the anxiety out of him. So I'm trying to keep a nice, soft contact. That way my brakes are there if I need it, but he won't feel like he has to fight with me. And overall, I am just trying to stay soft and relaxed with my body, make sure that I'm breathing so that he knows, well, she's relaxed, so maybe I can be too. And so as we go, he starts to relax a little bit, and I start to ask for a little bit of inward flexion in his neck. I'm not asking him to come around and go on the bit, but when I pulse on my inside rein, I'm looking for him to turn his head slightly inward. Chip's a little bit fussy in the connection during this ride. I think part of it is because I have been asking, in my small ring, there's no steering to be had. You just follow along the rail. Here, I can actually cut the turns a little bit short. And so when I am trying to steer, he's not entirely sure he wants to listen to me. And some of that might be lack of familiarity with this bit. I think a lot of it is a lack of balance and just lack of confidence. When you have a horse that is having a hard time, especially with the bit, you want to rely on all of your other aids. You always want to use all of your aids to help turn the horse, but especially for a horse that's not quite confident in their connection, you want to use your legs to help kind of guide them. So as we work in the walk, I am finding that Chip has a tendency to try to dive behind the bit. And again, I am trying to stay very soft. I am not asking him to lower his head. I am only asking him to flex left and right and sometimes to stop. However, if he starts to try to yank the bit from me, I will try to stay strong in my core and just sit tight, and I won't let him yank the reins away from me. But hopefully in this ride, if I'm riding the way I intended, the only time you'll see kind of my forearms start to flex is if he starts to pull on me. I really don't care where his head is. In fact, I kind of would rather him have his head up a little bit higher above the bit in these rides, just because I don't want him to hang on me for balance. And I want him to kind of find his own footing and find his own balance here. But I'm trying to just stay soft. If he dives behind the bit, I'm trying to maybe lift his head a little bit and use my leg to push him forward into the connection. But these are all things that will get better with time. But just so we're all clear, I am not asking him to put his head down. What I do want is for him to be bending softly off of my left rein, bending softly off of my right rein, and stopping. And I did feel like we got to a point in the ride where he was soft on both reins and he had a good brakes on him. And so I thought it was appropriate to then ask for a little bit of trot. So for our first attempt at the trot, Chip was really struggling with the turns. I actually think I tried to stay out of his way too much, but I should have kept my leg on to keep him going and also really tried to start the turns a bit sooner. With a more established horse, I always try to ride deep into the corners, but that is just physically too hard for a green horse, and my mind was a little bit on autopilot and I wasn't really thinking about helping Chip make those turns. So on my next attempt, I tried to start my turns a bit earlier and support him more with my legs while also trying to stay off of his face. I think I could have done a better job staying quieter with my hands, but we did make it through the turns without breaking, and I'll give myself some grace because it can be hard to keep your position perfect while you're riding an unbalanced greenie. But what I like is that Chip is super tolerant of me. He did not need me to ride perfectly, and he was very generous with his temperament and just tried to do what I wanted, even when I wasn't really perfect when I was asking for it. So then we changed directions and went to the right. He was a bit more balanced to the right, but also I was kind of finding my sea legs again, working with my green Standardbred. So I think I did a better job of supporting him. He's still not quite sure what to do with the bit, and he's kind of going above it and then below it, but I can't complain. He's also doing a better job at softening to the contact. Again, I just mean turning left and right when I touch the reins than he did at the beginning of the ride, and it will only continue to get better with him with more time and some patience. So anyways, this was my short ride. It wasn't perfect, but I was happy that he felt better at the end of the ride than he did at the beginning, and we accomplished my goal of trotting in both directions. I'd like to work a bit more on introducing lateral work from the ground so that I can support him better with my legs and seat while I'm riding. And I'll also try to do a few more lunging sessions with Chip so he can continue to find his balance without having to carry me and me getting in his way. I'm working on getting his ad ready for the Standardbred National Show, where he will be available as an adoptable horse. At this time, I think I might only enter the in-hand classes. We'll see how the next few weeks go, but at his age, I don't think he needs to rush into ridden work at a show. And just going and doing the in-hand stuff will be a great learning opportunity for him. So if you liked this week's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to see how I start introducing lateral work. Thanks for watching.